again, thanks for coming. You know, I'm Vicki. I'm a lawyer. I've been practicing law for 30 years. We met earlier today. I think I told you that I'm gay. I have 2 children, one I gave birth to and one that my partner and I adopted. So we come to family formation in alternative ways from a personal perspective. And that's how I got into surrogacy. I've been doing assisted reproduction law and GLBTQ law for all of my career. And basically about 10 years ago, we started our surrogacy agency because many of our clients started to ask us, can you help us find a surrogate? So that's how we got into it. I started with a woman who's still with me, Serena. She was a surrogate herself, so she's very good on our team of supporting the surrogates. So we have, in our agency, we have 2 tracks of support. One is for the intended parents. You have a dedicated case manager. And also I pride myself on always being available to you. You have my cell phone, my email. And the other track is for the surrogates. So they have a dedicated support person too, and that is Serena or her assistant. So let me just tell you a little bit about us. Some of the members of our team are here. Erin is our assistant case manager and assistant operations manager. Beth Ann is my overall manager of my entire operation law firm and surrogacy agency. We have a team of about 15 people. So we have a very ongoing, thriving law firm and program, surrogacy program dedicated to surrogacy and some step-parent and co-parent adoption. But basically what I do is 100% assisted reproduction law and surrogacy. In the program, if you retain us, we start looking for your surrogate right away as soon as you retain us. Right away you're on our radar. And we're focusing on the many women that are coming through our program to be screened to see if you are to be matched with any of those that are coming through the process. What we want to do for you is we want to be a team for you, and we want you to feel safe and happy in having a baby. Okay, so it's like, to us, it's the most important thing to have a baby. We want it to be exciting for you. It's a very complex way to have a baby through surrogacy. And we would like to be able to address those complexities for you so that you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel good as you move toward having your baby. It should be an exciting time in your life, not one where you're stressed out and really nervous. I mean, anybody having a baby is stressed out about certain things, but we should be able to manage these either relationship concerns with your surrogate or legal matters, and you should feel like things are getting done in an appropriate, competent way for you. So that at the moment when your baby is born, you're the legal parents of your baby. The baby is put in your arms, the hospital knows, the nurses know, you have the paperwork that you need, the surrogate has the paperwork, the same paperwork, the hospital has been apprised ahead of time that you're the legal parents, and you're recognized as the parents. You get the wristbands. Everybody looks to you for decision making on the baby that's born. So that's where you want to end up. You don't want to have to worry that that's not going to happen or things aren't going to go your way during the process. So how do we make that happen? It takes a team of professionals, a competent team, who can make sure that you have a surrogate that is really wonderful and is going to do what she says she's going to do. And we screen these women. We place many ads. We put a lot of money into recruiting surrogates, Facebook ads, Google ads, other online forums. And when they come in, maybe we get 30, 40 inquiries a week, but only a couple of those women will become surrogates. Why? Because we have this whole screening protocol. We make them go through a background investigation, and her husband goes through it as well. We make them go through a psychological evaluation, and her husband goes through an evaluation as well. We get their medical records from their pregnancies and have them reviewed by a reproductive doctor. We have them give us a letter from their obstetrician saying they're well and healthy enough to have another baby. We have a social worker on our staff who does an interview, and we'll do a home visit if they're local to us. If they're not local, we will outsource that home visit if you want us to. So all of these things go into marshaling this woman along to becoming a qualified surrogate before we even present her to you, so that when you're finally making a choice on a surrogate, you know that she's passed all these hurdles first. And then we're going to give you all the information you need to be able to make an informed decision. So you're going to get to know who she is yourself. You're going to meet her. You're going to ask us questions about insurance, about where she works, about what her family life is like. Does she have disability insurance? And you need a team that will answer all these questions, that won't just leave you out there trying to figure it out for yourself. You need to be able to come to us and say, well, what about this and what about that? And our team will address the questions as you present them to us. We present one surrogate at a time because of this matter of wanting you to have all the information you need on the surrogate. And you can say no. We don't push any surrogate on you. For any old reason, you can say, no, this is not the right one for me. And then we'll move on to another screened carrier. And then you'll think about this one. Usually, in our experience, our parents choose the first or second surrogate that we give to them. And that is because we're taking great care to make the right match for you. We're not just going to throw a person at you and say, how about this one or how about that one? We're thinking about you individually so that we're going to look at the criteria that you say to us you would like to have in a surrogate, and we're going to find those criteria matched in a woman and then make like a tailor-made match, okay? So that's the way it should be. So for us, it's 1, 2, or 3 that I think 99% of our clients will choose, the surrogates that we present. I'm going to break down the costs a little bit for you. It's going to be kind of a bird's eye view, but you can rely on some of the ranges that I'm telling you. To me, my side of it, I'm the agency and the surrogate, and then there's the medical. Okay, so all together, both of those things, I think you should land at anywhere between $120,000 and $130,000. And let's break that down even farther. So the medical will be, most of you need an egg donor, so that your package with the medical clinic will be about $35,000 or $40,000. Give or take. The clinics have different programs you'll choose from. Then our side of it should be about 80. And again, there's going to be some ranges that I'll give you. But where do we get the 80 from? First is the agency fee. Our fee is $19,000. The only thing you pay up front until you have a screened surrogate is the first half of that. So you pay that and then nothing more until you have your surrogate. Then there's a surrogate cost. That's the biggest part of the 80. And I'm going to give you a big range and then we'll break down why there's the range. It's going to be from about $30,000 to $40,000, maybe $45,000, but that would be with a higher cost surrogate. And the range is because surrogates come to us with a base compensation of like $25,000 or $30,000. If they carry a multiple, they'll add $5,000 to that. If they need insurance, you have to pay something for that. They ask for extra fees in their contract, like maternity clothes, invasive medical procedure fee. For the embryo transfer, they might get $1,000. If they lose time from work, you might be paying net lost wages, housekeeping, babysitting. All these things add up, and that's why the range. But when you have your surrogate, you should know 100% what your financial exposure is. There should be no loose ends in the contract. So while we're giving you ranges now, that's going to be part of your decision making when you have your surrogate. How much will it cost to have this surrogate? So that'll be in black and white at the time when you are making your decision. The other component is the legal fees. So you have to have legal services for your gestational surrogacy contract. Your lawyer for the surrogate has to be paid, and then your legal services to become parents, legal parents, the pre-birth order we call it, or the legal parentage order. And that, so altogether that should be about $8,000, maybe $7,000, maybe $8,500, depending on the state and depending on the lawyers. If it's Connecticut, I can do the legal work. If it's not Connecticut, I mean, I'm licensed in New York and Connecticut, but I don't do legal work in surrogacy in Connecticut, in New York. But if you have a surrogate in Pennsylvania, then we outsource to a competent lawyer in Pennsylvania who will do your surrogacy pre-birth order and your contract. Same with Illinois, same with Florida. I belong to certain national organizations where I'm networked with a lot of very good surrogacy and assisted reproduction lawyers. So it's no problem to have to outsource it. So, wow, 5 minutes already. Okay, it's so much information in so little time. So anyway, those are your components of the fees. And in our materials, there's a list of anticipated expenses. We can give you a lot of information on where those fees come from and how they would be broken down even more. You're welcome to email me, call me, Skype, meet in person. There's no charge for the consultation outside of today. And we can go over things in detail. Some of my clients actually make spreadsheets to see what they're going to be having to pay for. And I'll review that spreadsheet for you. I will look at it, I will give you advice on it, and I wouldn't charge you for that service. Insurance is a big thing. We look for surrogates with maternity insurance. Best case scenario, she has it. You don't have to pay for it. It doesn't have any surrogacy exclusion. Other situations, she has a surrogacy exclusion and you have to put insurance in place. We've been doing that through the Affordable Health Care Act or other programs. Someone said earlier that in one program they heard it was $170,000 and they asked me why there could be that spread, and I think it's because in some programs they factor in a very expensive insurance program through a company called Lloyd's of London, or there's some agencies in the US that offer these policies, and they can be like $30,000, $40,000. So that might account for that type of a spread. In the few minutes we have left, would you like to see if there's any questions? Yeah.
Geographically, where are most of your surrogates?
So we do recruit from all over the country because we just cast our net wide so we can get the best surrogates. We try to aggressively recruit in the Northeast because we're here, so it makes sense that we could. So we put a lot of targeted ads in for Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Mass, New Hampshire's a good state. So we try our hardest for the Northeast, and probably the majority of our surrogates, well, I shouldn't say the majority, but at least 50% are probably from the Northeast. But then we do have births in Texas, Idaho, Illinois, different states. The more open your pool of candidates is, the faster you'll be matched. So if someone says, I really want a surrogate in Connecticut, it's going to take longer to match because it's a small state, and no matter how much we recruit in Connecticut, we're only going to get so many surrogates. So and we have many people who travel to have their babies. Many of our couples go to Texas, go to Idaho, go to Illinois, go to Georgia. It's very seamless, really. It sounds like a pain, but it's similar to if you were adopting a baby and the baby was born in Texas. So you know when the due date is, or there might be a planned C-section. You go down, your baby's born, you come home after a few days. It's really done all the time. So don't be afraid of that in terms of if you want to be matched faster, but you can talk more in detail about that with me too. Other questions? Yes?
What are the kinds of requirements or conditions you see clients put into a surrogate? So one might be location, but what else have you seen?
Well, the big concerns of like termination of the pregnancy for a birth defect is one thing. If there were, I told the guys before there were 2 situations where I had triplets conceived because one embryo divided. It became a high-risk pregnancy, so there had to be selective reduction in both. So that's an issue. People don't usually selectively reduce just because they want to, but it's an issue you have to think about. We screen for all the preliminary things like age and weight and that they have children already. Something you might consider married or single. I don't have a preference personally because I think it just depends on the woman, that she's stable, that she's rooted in her community or her family. But some people have a preference. And some people, like our German clients, they need to have a single woman, so it's not even an option for them. Other concerns, well, sometimes age. Sometimes people would rather have someone, under 35 as opposed to in the late 30s. Oh, thank you. Yeah, whether you want a single embryo transfer or you want to try for twins, that's one factor that goes into the match. I know those are the big ones. Yeah.
Are there specific clinics you work with, or do you work with everyone?
I work with many, many clinics. I work with clinics on the West Coast. Almost all the clinics that are here today I've worked with. I work with, most often with the clinics in Connecticut, RMA and CT Fertility. Okay, and then also I work with bigger institutions like Yale and the University of Connecticut and NYU. So, but your clinic and us should become one team, whoever it is, and help you.